Welcome to Business Rocket Pro channel, your go-to place for in-depth analysis of business success and trends. Today, we are diving into a major question. Who between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris is best for America's and the world's economic turnaround, and who will benefit businesses more? With the next presidential election on the horizon, the spotlight has shifted onto these two influential figures. Their leadership, economic policies, and global vision could have a profound impact on both the US and the world. In this video, we will compare Trump and Harris across 10 key areas and one bonus area and determine who could better drive US and the world's economic growth and support the growth of businesses. We will draw our analysis from their policy pronouncements, speeches, campaign promises, and candidate-known character. Number 1. On economic policy. Donald Trump, throughout his presidency, focused on deregulation and tax cuts. His 2017 tax reform reduced corporate tax rates from 35% to 21%, which he argues spurred economic growth, increased business investment, and brought jobs back to America. His America First policy was designed to bring manufacturing back to U.S. soil and focus on trade deals that would prioritize U.S. businesses. In recent interviews, Trump has promised more tax cuts and continued deregulation. He has criticized the current administration for inflation and high interest rates, claiming that his policies can bring inflation down and revive business activity. On the other hand, Kamala Harris has focused on inclusive economic growth. In a recent speech, she emphasized the importance of creating jobs in clean energy, technology, and infrastructure while promoting equity. Harris' stance leans more toward progressive taxation, aiming to reduce income inequality by taxing the ultra-wealthy and large corporations more. She is also a proponent of expanding worker protections and raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour to stimulate demand. So, who fares better on this? While Trump's pro-business stance appeals to corporations and investors, Harris' focus on creating a more equitable economy could promote long-term stability. Number 2. On global trade. Global trade is another key differentiator between the two. Donald Trump is well known for his trade wars, especially with China. He imposed tariffs on Chinese goods, aiming to reduce the trade deficit and protect American jobs. While this gave some short-term boosts to certain industries, it also caused supply chain disruptions and retaliatory tariffs on American exports, notably in agriculture. Trump argues that his tough stance on China was necessary to prevent intellectual property theft and level the playing field. In his latest rally, he stated he would impose even stricter tariffs and pull the U.S. out of unfavorable trade deals. Kamala Harris, on the other hand, has promoted the importance of international cooperation. In her recent pronouncements, she supports renegotiating trade agreements to ensure fairness but without the aggressive unilateral approach Trump took. Harris emphasizes the need to maintain strong diplomatic ties, especially with Europe and Asia, to foster global business partnerships and create more stable international supply chains. So who wins here? Trump's aggressive trade stance can be seen as protectionist, benefiting certain industries but disrupting others. Harris' diplomacy-first approach, on the other hand, might create a more stable global business environment. Number 3. Small business support. When it comes to small businesses, Trump has long positioned himself as their champion. Under his presidency, he introduced initiatives like the Paycheck Protection Program, PPP, during the COVID-19 pandemic to help small businesses survive. His administration also slashed regulations that he claimed were suffocating entrepreneurs. In his campaign speeches, Trump promises even more tax cuts for small businesses and fewer regulations, saying that this will create a business-friendly environment where entrepreneurs can thrive. Kamala Harris, on the other hand, has focused on increasing access to capital for women and minority-owned small businesses. During the pandemic, she pushed for more equitable access to relief funds for struggling small businesses. Harris' recent speeches have highlighted the importance of affordable health care and childcare for small business owners, which she believes will reduce overhead costs and help them succeed in the long term. So who wins here? Trump's hands-off approach might appeal to business owners looking for immediate relief, but Harris' focus on equity could ensure more sustained support for small businesses over time, especially for underrepresented groups. Number 4. On taxation and business growth. Donald Trump's tax philosophy is clear: fewer taxes, more business growth. His tax cuts for both individuals and corporations during his presidency were among the most significant reforms in decades. He has promised to extend these cuts if re-elected, arguing that they stimulate economic activity and attract global business. However, critics argue that Trump's tax cuts primarily benefited the wealthy and corporations, contributing to the national deficit. Kamala Harris takes a different approach. She is a supporter of progressive taxation, aiming to increase taxes on corporations and the wealthy while providing relief to the middle class. In her recent proposals, she outlined plans to close tax loopholes used by big businesses and billionaires, ensuring that wealthier Americans pay their fair share of tax. So who takes it here? While Trump's policies favor immediate business growth and high-income earners, Harris' approach is more about long-term economic equity and sustainability. Number 5. On climate change and business. Climate change is not just an environmental issue, it's an economic one too. Kamala Harris is a staunch supporter of green energy. She has been a vocal advocate for policies that tackle climate change by transitioning to renewable energy, creating millions of jobs in solar, wind, and other clean technologies. Her climate plan includes incentives for businesses to adopt green practices and tax credits for companies innovating in this space. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has consistently downplayed the urgency of climate change. He pulled the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Agreement and rolled back environmental regulations to boost traditional energy industries like coal and oil. Trump argues that these industries are vital to America's economy and jobs. Who wins here? Harris' climate policies could appeal to businesses focused on sustainability and innovation, while Trump's traditional energy focus might resonate with legacy industries. Number 6. On corporate regulation. Donald Trump is a champion of deregulation. Under his administration, more than 100 regulations were rolled back, which he argues freed businesses from bureaucratic constraints. Trump believes that deregulation promotes innovation and allows businesses to operate more freely. Kamala Harris, on the other hand, supports regulation, particularly in industries like healthcare, technology, and finance. She believes that proper oversight ensures fairness, consumer protection, and prevents corporate exploitation. Recently, she's emphasized the need for more regulation in big tech to prevent monopolies and ensure data privacy. Who wins here? Businesses looking for fewer regulations would favor Trump, while Harris' regulatory stance appeals to those concerned with ethical business practices and consumer rights. Number 7. Healthcare and business. Healthcare is a major issue for business owners all over the world, particularly when it comes to providing insurance to employees. Kamala Harris supports expanding the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare, and providing Medicare for all, which could relieve small businesses from the burden of providing private health insurance. Harris argues that a public option would reduce overhead costs for businesses, particularly for small and medium enterprises. Donald Trump, on the other hand, has criticized government-run healthcare systems and favors a market-driven approach. During his presidency, he attempted to repeal the Affordable Care Act and is a firm believer that private competition in healthcare leads to better services and lower costs. So who wins here? Businesses burdened by healthcare costs might prefer Harris' approach, while those seeking less government intervention would side with Trump. Number 8. On technology and innovation. In terms of technology and innovation, Kamala Harris is forward-thinking. She advocates for investment in emerging technologies like AI, green energy, and biotechnology. In recent discussions, she's spoken about the importance of keeping the U.S. competitive in the global tech landscape while ensuring ethical standards and regulations are in place. Donald Trump has also highlighted the importance of innovation, but from a different angle. His administration focused on supporting traditional manufacturing and energy sectors, though he also pushed for space exploration with the creation of Space Force. So who wins here? Harris' tech-first approach appeals to businesses in cutting-edge industries, while Trump's focus on traditional sectors resonates with industries like manufacturing and energy. Number 9. On immigration and workforce. When it comes to immigration, which has a direct impact on the workforce, the two candidates have starkly different views. Donald Trump has taken a hard-line stance on immigration, implementing policies like the travel ban and building a border wall. He argues that restricting immigration protects American jobs, though critics say this can hurt industries that rely on immigrant labor, such as agriculture and tech. Kamala Harris, on the other hand, supports comprehensive immigration reform, focusing on creating a pathway to citizenship for undocumented workers and expanding skilled worker visas. She believes immigration is vital for economic growth, particularly in sectors like agriculture, technology and healthcare. So who wins here? Trump's approach may benefit industries focused on domestic labor, while Harris' immigration stance could provide relief for industries that rely on global talent. Number 10. On foreign policy and global business environment. Foreign policy is a critical factor that shapes the global business environment. So how do Donald Trump and Kamala Harris differ in their approaches, and how could their leadership affect the world economy and international business relations? Donald Trump's foreign policy is characterized by an America First approach. During his presidency, he prioritized bilateral trade deals, withdrew the U.S. from multilateral agreements like the Trans-Pacific Partnership (TPP), and adopted a protectionist stance on global trade. His trade war with China led to increased tariffs on billions of dollars in goods, which disrupted global supply chains but also pushed some companies to relocate manufacturing back to the U.S. Trump's approach focuses on protecting American businesses and jobs but risks creating tensions with major economic powers. Trump's critics argue that his isolationist tendencies have weakened the U.S.'s position as a global leader, potentially destabilizing international markets. However, Trump maintains that his tough stance strengthens American competitiveness. Kamala Harris, by contrast, champions a cooperative and multilateral approach to foreign policy. She has expressed support for rebuilding alliances with international organizations such as NATO and rejoining global trade agreements. Harris' foreign policy would focus on restoring America's leadership in global diplomacy, fostering partnerships to address issues like climate change, and promoting human rights and democracy. Harris' leadership could create a more stable and predictable global business environment, enhancing international cooperation. This might benefit global corporations and industries that rely on free trade and multilateral agreements. So who takes it here? Trump's protectionist policies may benefit U.S. businesses in the short term but risk alienating key trading partners. Harris' diplomatic approach could promote global stability and strengthen international business ties, fostering long-term growth. And now the bonus. On leadership style. Let's finally compare their leadership styles. Donald Trump is known for his bold, brash leadership. His "no apologies" approach resonates with many who believe in strong, decisive leadership. However, his polarizing style has also created significant political and social division. Kamala Harris, in contrast, has a more collaborative leadership style, focusing on unity and diplomacy. She often emphasizes the importance of working together across party lines to find solutions. So, who wins here? Trump's strong, business-first leadership may attract entrepreneurs looking for bold action, but Harris' focus on unity and fairness could be more appealing to those seeking long-term, stable growth. To conclude, therefore, who among Trump and Kamala Harris is better for America's and the world's economic and business progress? Is it Donald Trump with his pro-business, deregulation, and America First approach, or Kamala Harris with her inclusive, equitable, and forward-looking policies? The answer depends on where you stand. Trump's policies may spur short-term business growth, especially for corporations and high earners, while Harris offers a vision of sustainable, equitable growth for all. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth analysis on business and entrepreneurship topics that matter to your money-making endeavors.